Hi everyone. I've been asked to show how to work with the dust and scratch filter as a way to remove flaky skin and little dust on floors or little moo on jackets. And I'll make the demonstration on a jacket because that's the most recent image I have right now. But you can apply that same technique on newborn babies that have that dry, flaky skin, um, little children that have, dry, snotty nose. And if you work in a studio or in a home where there's little crumbs on the floor and that's bothering you, or you have crumbs on your backdrops, floor, and you want to remove it quickly instead of using the clone stamp tool or the patch tool or the stamp tool. This comes in pretty handy. So, and it's the same technique for all of those. So what you do, you create a copy of your background because you don't want to apply the filter directly on your background because it is a destructive um, layer, and you never want to apply something that is destructive on your original layer. Sorry. So on your copy, you're going to go to filter and noise, and then you are going to select dust and scratches. And from there, if your sliders are not down to 0, you're gonna put them down to 0. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to see from the get-go where your starting point is. And you see your pointer, your cursor is going to be a little square, and that's what you're going to use to select the bigger fluff or the biggest crumb on the floor or the biggest flake on the skin. And that's going to be your target point to start fixing your texture. If you use a small target, the problem you're going to be facing is that um, you're going to be focusing on fixing the smaller fluff or texture, and you're not going to be fully removing the bigger texture problem. So always focus on the biggest one. So when you are applying your mask at the end and you're brushing on top of your little fluffs, everything is going to go perfectly and you're not going to be entering into any artifacts or problems. So once you've selected your biggest little fluff, you're gonna start with the radius. The radius is basically the blur that's gonna be applied to blur the surface and remove the what you want to fix. So it's gonna remove the flakes, the moo on the jackets, and the crumbs on your floor. Usually, a radius between 10 and 20 is more than enough to remove what needs to be fixed. So, like here, if I look in my window and on my jacket, a radius of about 12, 14 is enough. I don't see any artifacts around, so that's good. After, we don't want to leave this all blurry because we have lost all the texture. That's where the threshold is going to be useful. The threshold is going to bring back the texture of the jacket, the texture of the skin, and the texture of any floors. So we're going to bring it up. And again, we don't need to go too crazy. Otherwise, if we bring it too high, then it brings back little artifacts around the spots we wanted to remove, and we don't want that. I'm going to bring it back down until we don't see any little artifacts And again, usually around the radius levels is pretty good. Sometimes a little lower. So around 10 is pretty good. The texture is not fully perfect, but it's back. And it won't really matter because we're not going to leave it like this. We're going to be applying a layer mask to our layer, and we're just going to be brushing on the spots that we want to disappear. So okay. And now we're going to be applying our layer mask. So as usual, black reveals and white conceals. So we want to reveal, we want to hide this mask right now. So we want to reveal the texture that's under. So we need a black mask. So we're going to be pressing Alt or Option on a Mac and click on our little mask icon to have a black mask. And with a white brush, we want our brush to be a nice soft brush. So it's all about preferences, but I like the 300 soft brush with a flow of about 30%, and make sure that your brush is set on white to reveal the filter we've just applied. We're going to make sure that our brush is at about the size of the little flakes that we want to remove. And now we're just going to brush on top of the areas where we have little flakes or fluffs that we want gone. And it's as fast as that. What takes the longest is just preparing the mask and the filter, and removing the flakes is pretty much a piece of cake after this. So if we look at before and after, as soon as we brush it, it's pretty fast. We don't have to worry about matching the texture of the jacket if we use the patch tool or the stamp tool. Make sure that everything aligns properly because we're just using a brush and painting, and everything remains nice and perfect. So you can use this on your floors, your backdrops, the skin flakes. It's going to give you the same effect. You don't see any discontinuation. The texture is nice and good. And here you have it, a quick option to fix these little silly but frustrating excuse me, little things that sometimes make us waste a lot of time fixing. So I hope this was helpful, and if you have questions, as usual, don't hesitate to send me a message. Have a good day. Bye.